All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 9th Berlin Board of Education meeting. We're going to call this meeting to order at 6:02, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so we are going to start with report of board members. So would anyone like to kick it off? Anyone have anything they would like to share from board members? Well, I will start while you guys all think. So in August, Jen and I attended the CABE Summer Conference. It was a summer leadership conference, and they had a new board track and a leadership track. That was the first time they've done that this year. I have attended the CABE Board of Directors meetings since the last time we met, and then we have another one this week. I was asked by CABE to serve on an accountability working group, a working group for the state. It came out of legislative session for the School Accountability Index and grading policy, high school grading policies. So I'm on that working group, and we've met twice. We actually met this afternoon, and I think that work will be beneficial, bringing it back to Berlin and having those conversations as we, continue our discussions around the table. I attended Convocation, so that was great. It was nice to see everyone back, and I'm probably sure I've done a few other things that I can't think of right now, but if you guys would like to share about anything you've attended or participated in, Board of Ed related, you can go ahead and share out. Do you want to share about the CABE conference?
The only thing, I mentioned at the retreat too that, it's always a good opportunity to hear from other districts and to see what everyone's doing. And, sometimes we're in our little bubble in Berlin, and it's nice to kind of see the bigger issues around the state.
Yeah, great. Anyone else? No?
I'll talk about Upbeat for a second.
Perfect.
So, as most of you know, we restructured the Upbeat program, so I probably spend a lot of my time with Upbeat, but it has gone extremely well. We just had our leadership workshop yesterday. We had almost 30 students that we invited to talk about our 3 pillars, which are integrity, service, and leadership. It was very well planned out. The kids did a fantastic job, very creative. We also have the Berlin Fair coming up this weekend, so it's a little stressful. We had our first Upbeat meeting. We had 217 kids, I think, sign up. The majority of them being freshmen and sophomores, which is fantastic. That's exactly what we were looking for. More freshmen than sophomore, which is absolutely what our hope was. So we have a lot of exciting things coming up. It's been a lot of work, but there is 5 of us that help facilitate it, and I think it's going extremely well, better than what we could have hoped for. So that's what's going on at the high school.
Anything else? Okay. So it's time for the report of our student board reps, and I want to just welcome back Anusha for your 2nd year and welcome Grace to your 1st year. One thing we do love is your report at every meeting. It's a highlight of our meeting. And just to remind you or inform you, when we do open agenda items up for discussion, feel free to jump in. If we forget to ask you guys what you're thinking, just jump right in. So we want you to feel comfortable doing so. All right, so turning it over to the 2 of you.
All right. So the first thing that we have on our agenda was
that on August 29th, students, teachers, and staff had the joy of waking up bright and early to head back to their classrooms for the 2024 to 2025 school year. This year, however, the first day focused more on allowing each grade to bond as a whole through various activities. Many students are excited to see what this year brings as BHS continues many of its traditions such as Senior Sunrise, Homecoming, and Spirit Week.
In addition to the first day of school, the students of Berlin High School discussed the new phone policies with Governor Lamont, Commissioner Russell Tucker, and Superintendent Benigni, expressing their appreciation for the focus on promoting a healthier school environment rather than enforcing compliance, a change that many felt would positively impact the school environment.
And then this year, BHS had its first ever Red Coat Rally on August 30th, which, similar to the regular pep rally, this was a great way to kick off the school year and give the freshmen a glimpse of true school spirit.
And this coming Thursday, if weather cooperates, Upbeat students are headed over to the Berlin Fair to work their shifts at the famous fried dough booth. In total, Upbeat will be completing over 50 hours of community service from this weekend alone. Ride wristbands are being sold until Wednesday, the 1st at Berlin High School, or the 11th at the Berlin High School, and other locations for $25 each. Please visit the Upbeat website for more information. We hope to see you there.
And that is all that we have for today.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Anisha and Grace? No? Okay. Committee reports. I believe the only committee that's met was the community engagement, but you guys are reporting out later, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I know we do not have a CREC report this evening. Do we have any correspondence to the board?
Yes, we do. 3 correspondents this evening. First, we deeply appreciate your expression of sympathy. Thank you for the floor arrangement. With appreciation, Ruth Bogdan and family. She's a McGee era. Dear Berlin Board of Education and staff, I was so touched by receiving the flowers you sent and truly appreciate your kindness. Much love, Margarita. Margarita is an admin assistant for at the Board of Ed here. And the last one, to the members of the Board of Education, thank you for the thoughtful expression of sympathy following the passing of my mother. Your kindness is appreciated. Sincerely, David and Jennifer Basso, both teachers at Berlin High School.
Thank you. Next agenda item, moving on to audience of citizen. If anyone would like to approach the board, it is for residents speaking during this portion of the meeting. You'll be limited to 3 minutes per resident. If you would like to approach the board, just state your name and address. Would anyone like to approach the board? Okay. No one? Moving on to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion for consideration?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do we have a second? A second. Okay, so the motion by Melissa, the second by Jen. Do we have any discussion on the consent agenda? All right, we can move to a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The vote carries 7-0. Now we are going to move to new business, the superintendent's report, opening of schools.
I'm happy to report that this opening of schools this year was probably the smoothest we've had. We did have some transportation issues, and as much as I'd like to say that any districts without transportation issues, our transportation issues were much less than other districts. I think working with NBT and being that Peter D'Agostini is local is helpful. We did have some stops that were a little later than usual, stops that didn't take place, but that usually works itself out within the first week. It's a credit to the administration and the staff. I think the opening convocation, which lasted about an hour and 10 minutes, was very positive. I think our teacher of the year, who's a semifinalist for the state teacher of the year, did a great speech to welcome everyone back in an excellent message. It feels as though we've been here longer than the little bit of time that we've been here, and just how things are running. So I don't want to jinx anything, but I think that it's a credit to a lot of well-planned, a lot of planning that went very well and thought out way before the start of school. It's a credit to the administrative staff, so thank you.
Thank you. Staffing update.
I don't want to sound redundant when I said at the retreat, but I could not be more impressed with the new staff that we're able to hire. We're at a point where it's a teaching shortage in many districts, and they're not able to hire and retain staff. We're very fortunate to have all of our positions. We had 2 para positions that we needed to fill, which we're working on, but all of our certified staff positions have been filled, and they've been filled with highly qualified individuals that where other districts are still out looking for certain staff. Our staffing has been very solid, and we've been fortunate to our positive to Berlin, but for others, we were able to attain staff members that have taught for a number of years in other districts and wanted to come to Berlin for specific reasons. And I think that it's great that we're able to hire them, and I thank the board for their support in allowing us to attain staff members that have experience and not setting a bar at a certain number, but to still have the goal of hiring the most qualified teachers we can find. So,
Thank you. Any questions for Brian on the staffing update or opening of schools? Okay, we're gonna turn it over to Linda, right? For a
Ashley for the
Oh, Ashley, I'm sorry, I skipped one. Sorry, I apologize. Ashley is going to provide a final report on the 2023-2024 fiscal year, and the report has been posted in Schoology.
It's kind of hard to believe that we're already here again. So yeah, fiscal year 23-24 had its challenges, just like any other year. But we were able to end with a little bit of surplus. So we ended with about $500,000 left in surplus funds for the general fund surplus, which is just shy of 1%, which is, in my opinion, pretty good budgeting. We had several areas of where the surplus savings were driven from. First would be benefits. So last year you heard multiple times that we had a lot of staff vacancies, and with that, also with the vacancies, we have savings from FICA, because if we're not paying the people, we're not paying their taxes. So we had some surplus areas in the FICA benefit. We also had savings in our pension line, primarily because the way the pension works is there's like a 1-year grace period, so a new employee can't join our pension program until they've been here for a full year. So when we budget for them, an employee, and then they leave, and then we hire somebody new, there's that flexibility in the pension line. And then, of course, unemployment, that has been a surplus area for us for the past couple years. Maybe I was just going down. Okay, so yeah, the unemployment line, that has also been an area of surplus for several years. We don't anticipate that being a line, considering the number of people that are in positions that we have cut to the budget for this year. So our unemployment line, we don't expect a surplus in that area for the upcoming year. Utilities was kind of a surprise for us, and it was primarily a change in the natural gas delivery fee. When we prepared the budget 2 years ago for last fiscal year, usage fees were astronomical. And we got a little bit of relief in Connecticut Natural Gas and our delivery fee. It was almost half the cost of what we saw in previous fiscal years. We also, in the summer of 2023, did a phone audit. So we hired an independent company. They went through our phone bills, and they went to go, what they did is they evaluated any usage fees that we weren't using. And with that, we had some savings with the phone lines as well. Transportation, we had some good news in transportation. Of course, the excess cost reimbursement, that always kind of comes into play with both the transportation and the tuition lines. But a big driver for the transportation savings was a decrease in the usage of diesel. So we are in the process of switching over our diesel buses to gasoline buses. And last year we saw some good results from that change. For tuition, the major driver, there's actually 2 major drivers. One of them is the change in student demographics. So we had a couple students come back to us who were outplaced, and then they came back. We had students move out of town, and then we also had students waiting on placements. So when they weren't being placed, we weren't paying their tuition. The other additional tuition
bump was we budgeted for 2 non-anticipated outplaced students last year, and fortunately we did not have to use them. So that was probably the driving surplus area of the tuition line. And then again, excess cost, it impacts both tuition and transportation. So with our savings, we typically like to prioritize it based on things that are cut in the upcoming budget. And technology is something that always kind of is the first line to get tossed. Facility updates, and then software subscriptions and professional development. These are also lines that we look when we're, whenever we have end of year funds, we like to say, okay, well, we have end of year funds, so we could take some of these other budgets down. So for technology, we were able to do a lot, actually. We did whiteboards and projectors in all classrooms. We were able to replace the office laptops, or the office PCs rather, which were in their 7th year cycle, which is very much needed. And about 30% of the staff received new devices that were about 8 years past, or they had an 8-year cycle, so after 3 years past their given time. We updated the STEAM labs over at McGee Middle School. That was also in need of an update. That was about 3 years past due. We had sound system upgrades over at Hubbard Elementary School in their cafegimatorium. And then also we were able to include our Juno systems to include the specials, not just in the core classrooms. Hotspots for our students in need who don't have access to internet. So we were able to purchase about 30 new hotspots for any of those students. And then access controls, which are the key swipe badges that get you in and out of a building. So for the facility updates, we work very closely with the town, and a majority of the facility updates do get purchased by the town and done by the town. But sometimes towards the end of the year, we recognize projects that have been on the list and just don't have funding. So if we have funding available, we will take care of it. So we did ADA access controls for the bathrooms over at Willard, McGee, and BHS for our students who are in wheelchairs and unable to open the door. We also did a secure entrance installation over at the CCTA. The CCTA is our program over on 362 Main Street. We pride ourselves in having the same type of security measures in place over at that facility because they are our students, so we were able to install some security measures there. And then gym maintenance, so that included all of the gym floor refinishing and bleacher maintenance in all 5 buildings. And then our software subscriptions and professional development, we were able to take advantage of multi-year contracts for that will give us kind of a discount the next 2 years going through. So we were able to purchase Learning A to Z, which is a reading software, PebbleGo, and One More Stories, which is a library database. Our Microsoft licensing required for the PC upgrades that we had, and then Power School training. What's really special about the Power School training is we used to just send 1 or 2 people out to what they call Power School University. By purchasing this particular type of training, we are bringing the Power School people here, which will enable them for them to service departments. So we have clerical staff attending this training, we have counselors, we have admins, and it's just, we're really fortunate that we were able to participate in this type of program. And that's all I have.
Does anyone have any questions for Ashley? Thank you for your report. Thank you. Very informative. Now we are moving on to the update on summer programs. So Linda Holian and supervisors of special education will present on their end of school year program offered to students that qualify for these services. This is mine.
Yours.
Welcome back, everyone. So this is a familiar chart that we use year after year. So you can just reference the total number of students attending, that's the one number that was up significantly. Michelle shared that we had a lot of sixth graders this year recommended for, sixth and seventh recommended for summer school. So that's where our secondary numbers are up. Everybody else was pretty consistent.
Just jump in too.
Sure.
I think we're seeing a lot more students who had attended ESY in elementary school are continuing it through middle school. So a lot of times students will drop off as they go into middle school. Sometimes we get the sixth graders because it's a new building, but the seventh graders kind of drop off, and they didn't this year. So a lot of these students that were in the secondary have been attending our summer program for quite a while.
That being said, our costs were down this year compared to last year. If you look at the bottom line where it says total cost, and that's because transportation was a little bit lower this year. We did have our students, I don't think we did this in the past, but in Lori and Kara's program, our ELL students actually shared the buses with us this year. But our transportation costs were still down this year. But overall, I mean, Jenna and Michelle are the ones that put this program together with the help of the teachers. Sue McNally helps with the staffing needs and transportation. They make sure that the program runs smoothly. It ran smoothly once again this year. We were at Hubbard because Willard was still under construction, and we were at the middle school. It's just easier to navigate there. But it was another successful year. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
No questions? All right, thank you so much
Thank
for the
you.
report. All right, now we are gonna have curriculum directors Lori Jerpin and Kara Watson present an overview of what was done during the summer.
Thank you. So every year we put something out to all staff asking them if there's anything that they need to work on. So it's done at the, with the supervision of, at the secondary level, the secondary supervisors, and then at the elementary level through the principals and Kara and I. And we get lots of requests that happen, and then we follow up on all of those to make sure. I think Kara said that there were about 90 requests this year.
So as Lori said, elementary, middle, high school, we have staff members who request. Sometimes it's for brand new curriculum, sometimes it's for curriculum updates or other initiatives that we're working on. We do pay through our curriculum budget primarily, but we also have some funding through certain grants to support this work, which is fantastic. We get the requests in, we look through them, we prioritize when necessary. Sometimes we have to adjust hours, but overall we're able to support pretty much everything. So we just have a few examples we'll share for anyone who may not have kind of heard from us in the past on this. So as Lori mentioned at elementary, we do oversee work with K-5 math and literacy projects. That generally happens every year, but may change based on different revisions and feedback from different grade level teams. Tech integration this year did some work on artificial intelligence, which has been in the news quite a bit, and the expectations in classes and suggestions for policy for the district to support that moving forward. The elementary literacy specialists, they did some curriculum alignment based on some new practices. Library media did some curriculum updates. Middle school, we had ELA and art curriculum updates. Grade 8 math and science. We had some chemistry changes. As you know, we had lost a science teacher at the high school the other year. We were able to bring back the position in chemistry and change our program of studies a bit. So there was some work done there. Capstone had some curriculum updates and changes to how that's structured. And then one of the big ones for us had to revolve around the educator evaluation and the new plan we have. We had a small committee from our larger group work with us this summer to finalize things and create some samples for the administrators to use with their staff as they start with their new goal setting. So, anything else? No? Any questions? Pretty straightforward.
I'd love to see my favorite new book on everyone's, in front of everyone.
All right, thank you for that update.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so moving on to our next agenda item, in Schoology was the application for the CABE Board Recognition Award was posted. So The annual Cape Caps Conference is November 15th and 16th in Mystic. I encourage all those who are able to go. Brian, Debbie, and I will make sure something gets sent out soon. But mark your calendars. Brian and I submitted a proposal for that conference, and it was accepted. So anyone who wants to, join our session with us, we can fill you in later on that. So in addition to this application for the recognition award, we have also submitted for the Bonnie B. Carney Award for Excellence for Educational Communication Award. We've had multiple submissions for that as well, as we do every year. Brian and his staff had submitted the Board of Ed snapshot, and Nick Smith had submissions based on the work he does with his students, so that's always exciting to see those on display at the conference. But I want to go over the application because we need a motion for consideration. So before, I'm going to actually go over it, and then we can have a motion for consideration. Then you guys can ask questions. So if you want to pull it up in Schoology. So this last year, I think, was our first year in a period of time where we achieved the Level 1 Board Distinction Award, which is, the Level 2. So Level 1, you have to, Level 1 CABE Board Leadership Award, you have to fulfill 22 of the 37 Level 1 items. And then for Level 2, there's additional items. So under Board Leadership and Student Achievement, I'm just going to go through each category. Under Level 1, Brian and I have sat down, we went through all these, we went through them on our own and then together. We have established that we have achieved 9 of the Level 1 under Board Leadership and Student Achievement. Under Level 2 for that, we've achieved 3. So you need a minimum of 3 for Level 1 and a minimum of 3 for Level 2. So we've fulfilled that. For Board Member Professional Development, a Level 1, you need a minimum of 3. We've established that. We have achieved 4. For Level 2, you need a minimum of 2, and we've identified 3. For Policy, you need, for Level 1, a minimum of 3, and we have achieved 6. For Level 2, a minimum of 3, and we have 3. Community Relations, you need a minimum of 3, and we have 4 identified. Level 2, you need a minimum of 2. We have 3. Related Organizational Leadership, for Level 1, you need 3, and we have identified 3. And then for Level 2, you need a minimum of 2, and we have identified 3. So if you're not following along, it probably sounds confusing. But overall, for the Level 1 award, you need 22, and we have achieved 41, which also we've achieved enough in all the Level 2 categories. So we are going to be submitting our application for Level 2 Board of Distinction Award. So before we open it up to discussion, I will gladly answer any questions you guys have. But as I was going through this, I was really proud of the work that our board is doing and a lot of the initiatives that we do. We don't get this list in advance. We get it when they release it, so we don't know what's going to be on it. That is some feedback I've given to CABE, so it's not like we can work towards achieving these things. It's kind of an assessment on how we're performing. But we can continue the discussion after we have a motion on the table. Do we have a motion for consideration?
I move that the board approve the application for the 2024 CABE Board Recognition Awards.
The motion by Melissa. Do we have a second? Second by Jen, and now we can open up for discussion. Yes.
How is it that CABE knows that all of these boxes are checked properly? I mean,
So in here it says, after each question, it says provide a copy or provide this or.
So you have to give something tangible to them.
Oh
so
yeah,
that they know
I've marked up my paper of all the meeting dates or all the different things. So then, Brian's staff can start kind of compiling it.
Is there ever any oversight on their part? Do
Yeah,
they-
there is. They go through, they make sure all of these things are done, so. Last year, only a handful of districts got the level 2.
We wouldn't send, in like, the first one, we have all 9. We would elect which 3 to send in. We wouldn't send in all 9. Wouldn't send in supporting documents. So if it's minutes from a meeting, we'd send the minutes in. If it's an actual policy,
Yeah,
we send
to
the
show
policy.
some
Which-
kind of
yeah,
proof
right,
that it would
right.
actually
We would
happen.
just
Yeah.
pick, we would pick what the minimum is and send in.
And does the criteria change
Every year.
every year? Okay.
And we don't know what it's gonna be. Like, there's a number of ones on here that, I've never seen before, and I was actually surprised, and that's why I was thinking, like, it would have been nice to know this in advance, but also it's a good reflection activity to see how well we're actually doing. Like, we're actually doing a lot of this stuff without being prompted a year in advance to work towards it, so. Do you have any other questions?
No,
No?
thank you.
Any other questions? Do you have them? No? Okay, well, you know, like I said, I'm really proud that we have achieved all of this, and it's been a collective effort. You know, I think the 2 retreats and bringing Jess Ritter in was something that we were able to check a few boxes with. I think holding our budget overview in our budget town hall meeting last April, on April 29th, we added that in. That was new. Having the meeting with our legislators about the science of reading and bringing Cheshire in. So there's a lot of different things that are happening that I think we should be proud of, and not a lot of boards are able to achieve the level 2. So that, you know, made me very happy to see that we were able to check the boxes accurately and honestly. All right, we can move to a vote if no one has anything else. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 7-0. And now we are going to move on to members of the Communication Committee are going to discuss the items from the September 3rd committee meeting with the board. And there's 3 questions here that are posted on the agenda.
Okay.
Over to Tracy.
Yeah, I'll start. So we met the other day, and basically I'm talking about where this group is going, where it's been, where we're gonna go. And so losing the Citizen, not sure what it is now, but we lost it, and so we can't really have the communication that we used to have. When we started on the communication committee years ago, there wasn't a lot of communication. Now it's called, I think, the committee, or the community committee, community engagement committee. And so it took us a while, but we finally got into the Citizen. We were able to reach all of the citizens of Berlin instead of just the schools with our emails and things like that. So that was the goal. How are we reaching out to the community? So the Citizen was a fantastic avenue for us. They published us about once every 2 weeks. We kept submitting articles about, they were factual, they were just about the school. It was, it was just incredible. And everyone liked it. Very good response. Well, they don't do that anymore. So we created, it took us a couple years, we got a Facebook page. And nobody really responded to the Facebook page. We've had it for quite a while now. We would start posting regularly. Nick gave us had the students work for some things, and they handed it to us, and we did that, especially during the quarantine and everything. We tried to get out there. No, that really didn't just kick off. And plus, it's redundant. Posted this. Every club has Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, and every school has it. So it was kind of like, what else are we going to do? What else are we going to do? And we've done coffee hour, and we've done, meet people, and you're just like trying. We really, really are trying. So the great thing that came out was the snapshot, which you guys saw and everything. That's incredible. So we discussed, how are we going to get, like, how many times a year would we do it? How are we going to get it out to all the residents? So we'd love to have people's emails. Well, did you not see this? Is it not? Oh, we haven't showed it. Never mind. Y'all haven't seen it. I thought people saw it. It's really good.
Well, the board has seen it.
Okay.
I could pull it up. I put it up on the screen.
It's good. You're gonna like it. It's great.
Send it to you.
Do you have it?
If I send it to you, can you put it on the screen? Yeah. Okay.
It's good. Y'all, no wonder y'all looking at me like, what is a snapshot? Trust me. So then we talked about how you're gonna get the emails, and That's a great question. How do you get the emails for the residents? Hold on 1 second. 6:37. Got it. 6:37. Okay. So then, we thought, well, maybe we could get at the Berlin Fair, could we put something up for emails?
Yeah,
Could
people
we,
there and
we've
everything.
been trying to brainstorm ideas about getting emails and everything. So we're trying to come up with ideas for that. And then places to drop it off, places to, like the senior center, things like that, to get it out to the greater community. So with that, we talked about our Facebook. And we decided if we wanted to post, what would we post? So our questions to the board are, what do you think of, well, I want to know what you think of the committee, but what do you think, so we have the snapshot where we're going to really, if you have ideas on how we can get out to the community, that's fantastic. But if we post, where are we going to post? So ideas were brought up of Berlin Buzz, Berlin Talks, Educating Berlin. And we have so the way the Board of Education page was created for Facebook is there's a person. And it's just a person, not a real person, is under that. So that person could be the poster, so to say, because you can post with that person has to. So what would you want posted? Where would you want to see it? And should it even exist?
What was your last question?
Should it exist? Should we post? Should we? I just wanted to give you a background, kind of what we talked about, and then kind of know where we are.
There you go, Nick.
Does anyone else from the committee have anything
Yes,
they'd like to add?
please.
Yeah, I mean, I think the concern is have we gone as far as we can with this committee, given what we have in town for communication sources? And, the Citizen was a huge piece of that, and that is no longer. So do we want to redirect where this committee goes, or do we want to put our efforts into something else entirely? Possibly building different relationships with other community organizations was something that came up as well.
Well, I think, so the committee used to be called Communications Committee, and that's why we changed it. By going community engagement, it's far more broad, so I don't think we've gone as far as we could go. I don't think it's like throw the hat in on the committee and just get rid of it or restructure it. I think that there's always ways to engage with the community. Or, sometimes it's not as necessary, and sometimes it's more, just like the F&O committee. Sometimes we're meeting all the time, sometimes we've gone like probably 4 or 5 months without having meetings because we haven't had to, and same with curriculum. And I think the committee, that's like the purpose of it. It's there, and we do the work, and that's the place where the work gets done when there's a need. I think there's always ways to continue engaging. But that's just my initial, I think back when we changed the name, that was the purpose of why. Because when I was first on the board, it was called Communications. That's why sometimes I think we call it Communications.
Always.
I
always do. I think what we're more concerned on is, okay, so let's say we decide, we kind of want, because we represent the whole board. So if this fictitious person is going to be posting, let's say, okay, so represents the entire board. So we agreed that things that we thought about okay to post would be fact-based, positive things about our schools, like if they're the musicals coming up, maybe something on that. This snapshot, highlighting something very positive, factual based, obviously nothing, that's it. And that the Board of Ed would post, if you guys want us to do that, what other ideas do you have? Are you okay with that? And where would you want the board to post?
Where on Facebook, or you're saying where on?
Well, right now we're talking Facebook because it's.
You gave the Berlin Buzz, Berlin Talks, or
That's on
Educating
Facebook.
Right.
So any of those?
I think Educating Berlin that's the better choice.
Yeah, jump in, Jamie.
So, this is fantastic, Tracy. I'm sorry.
It's awesome.
This is perfect. I mean, if we could have done this years ago, this would have been so kudos. That's fantastic. So in my mind, something this should go out, you have it as fall, winter, spring.
And that's what we talked
That's
about.
what-
And
yeah,
then-
be
So
like-
Brian and I started
and
working
I
on this
would-
at the end of May to.
So my thought would be, obviously you would send it out to our district-wide emails. That means it goes out to all staff, all parents. I don't like Berlin Talks, Berlin Buzz, or any of those because it's not it's, for me, it's not an appropriate use of our resources, if you will. It's just, no. I'm just not gonna say anything else about that. I think that this, because, Berlin Buzz, Berlin Citizen, yes, it's no longer just Berlin Citizen. However, I would be interested to know that if we're only doing this 3 times a year, is there somebody that we could talk to that could post it out? Now, I, through, social services, have no luck with them, but maybe it's because I don't know who to talk to. So with that, I just would like to keep it in literature that is, you know what I'm saying. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I was thinking the same thing, like, if we reach out to the citizen, have them publish this, like, a full page or something.
Yeah, and we're not
And
asking for much.
And they actually have nothing that they really post in there now that's related to our
Exactly.
community, so,
And
it
I'd
would-
get rid of Facebook. I just want to make that clear. I would 100% get rid of Facebook.
So,
That's my 2 cents.
yeah, so I think another point to consider, like, if they're not willing to publish this for free, like, would we be able to pay what it costs to run a full page
Exactly.
colored article? That would be cheaper than mailing things out to the community.
But within this, even though it's print, if you go back, Nick, could you slide it down? There's a lot of, if you click on certain areas, there's a lot of hot links that goes to more, that is linked to greater information. So the thought was 2 pages, very quick to look at, if that's all you want. If you want more information, you can go more in depth. And so if you go back to like the first, you can see the hot links there. Even some of the, like, end of the year, if you click on end of the year, it'll go to what the end of your purchases are. Well, not to my email. This is just a shot there, but it did, when you have, it's a PDF, so it's gonna go for, but all those are links to more information.
So
Let's
what
go
if
back
we
to
were
that.
to maybe get like part of it, like with, and then put a big QR code on it for whatever's published in the Citizen, and it's like if you want to see the full snapshot report with all the additional links and other information,
that's what we talked
scan
about,
this.
too.
So I think, approaching the Citizen and seeing if they'll do it, and then if not, paying and then making them put it on the front page, because when you pay, they're going to do it, and that's still not very expensive with the Citizen. With other papers, yes.
Well, I know we did something on the Citizen like that for subs. We put a sticker on the front. So if they were willing to put a sticker like Board of
Yeah.
Ed snapshot, and there's the QR code, and we did it 3 times years and paid the Citizen, that would get it out to the greater, any of those that are willing to scan. And then the other discussion we talked about, is there a way to solicit for people's emails? Once we have their emails, we have access to the greater public.
Sign up.
Right, well, that's the whole, if there
Well,
was a
through-
sign up, or they did the QR code, sent
And
their
then there's a
email,
pop-up
and-
that comes up in it.
and whether we, we talked about at the committee about whether we did concert tickets, or we did free tickets to athletic events, some type of apps to the Berlin Public Schools to get the emails. Once we have the emails, there's no cost, and we could just send it out like we send it out to the parents, to the greater community. It's just how do you access that greater community is the big discussion every time. Yep.
So going back, because Jamie brought up a good point too, what do you guys think of the whole Facebook concept? Posting like on the sites or not posting, or I think that's one of the things that we just keep running into year after year. I mean, it took it like 2 years just to get the Facebook. But it'd be nice to have your, like, because it's a board thing, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely some hesitancy around the table that we've heard in different meetings. And if that's the case, then we shouldn't be doing it. And I also, I think it's also, if we are gonna do it, I don't like the idea of the fictitious person. I think that's hiding behind
That's the
something.
only way we could have created it. You
Right.
can't create it as a business
Berlin
without having
board,
to
yeah.
pay.
As a
It's-
group or whatever, but.
We couldn't do it unless we had it that way. And the whole board actually, this went in with a vote, and it was extremely vetted, and the board was very reluctant. So, that was the only way we could actually create the account to then,
But the
Understood.
But the person's name is Berlin Board, so at least they know it's from the Board of Education.
not-
Because if you put one of us, like if I say, okay, from Tracy Sisti, then I'm personally responsible, and I would be, it's just the board. It's
And
just
that's-
unity as the board.
and then if, with board turnover, if one person leaves, then it couldn't be passed along, and that was really it. So it shouldn't be tied to one person's account, like, and that's why we had to do that. But then, yeah, so I think, so one thing I am gonna say is, if we think Facebook does need to go away, it has to go away with the vote, because it came in with a vote. So there's that, or it could just kind of stay until it's like really vetted and reassessed again. Another suggestion I might have is, with something like this, we don't need to use the Facebook to post, like, you know, when you're trying to engage your audience through social media marketing, you want to post however many times a week, certain times of the day. There's like all these social media rules. We don't necessarily have to do that, but one thing that could be done is you keep the account, something like this comes out, now you post it, and then when they click on it, there's also a place for them to add their email. We don't have the following to get that, but then we could reach out to the other groups, like the athletics, the high school, the elementary schools, the PTO, see if they will repost for us. And then once it's posted, stuff can get reposted. So I don't think it necessarily needs to be like the frequent engaging, building your following, but maybe something so other groups can repost and then we can get words out. That's just a thought. But I'm done talking. I'll let you guys talk.
I would put it on the agenda for next time for us to vote on.
Yeah, we can put it on.
I think when people want to post something, we see things that are reposted constantly anyway. If this is going out district-wide to staff and families, we see it all the time on Facebook. My issue with Facebook is, for however many years now that we've done this, it's been problem after problem after problem, and it's not meeting what we were hoping that it would. What we were trying to accomplish is not what happened. It was causing discourse and comments and things that just it wasn't even correct information.
Well, I don't think with our page it was, because I don't think it was. Do you have an example?
I don't remember, but when we first started this, there was always something that was posted on Berlin Buzz, not necessarily with our page.
Not
but it
our
takes
page, yeah.
Not on our page. Did we even have comments open on our
No.
page?
So
we didn't even have.
Yeah, no, we had it locked, and then they changed the policy. You can't lock it, but you can lock individually posts. So every time I
Exactly.
post, I have to lock the post.
So that
lock
was
the
what
post.
that was what was happening. For me individually, I just don't think it's a good idea.
What do you think, Melissa? You're on the committee.
Well, I mean, as I'm looking at this book right now about anxious generation, myself, I'm toning back on social media, and I feel like Facebook is kind of one of those that, yes, it can get to a larger population, but once again, it's how you're utilizing it. And just for what the board has, I mean, from the time that I've been on the board, we obviously don't have enough information to get out that it's the first thing that pops up when people sign on to their account. I mean, same thing with, with the coffee, with the superintendent and the board. It was a great way to, it was an opportunity, missed opportunity if people didn't take advantage of it. So that's kind of like the same thing with Facebook. It could just be there for someone to find, but I guess they can find it other places too.
Brian, do you have any 2 cents you'd like to add?
I feel like I have enough historical knowledge of watching this grow and evolve or devolve.
say one thing. This is taken from a person that does not use Facebook. I'm an Instagram guy. I look at Facebook as a lot of comments and back and forth. That's not very healthy. I look at like Instagram. I look at like the athletic pages, stuff that Nick is posting or the schools are posting. To me, that's informational. I like to see that. I like to see the pictures of upcoming events, what the time of the game is, things like that. To me, that's more informational. So if this, in my mind, is more informational than a conversation back and forth, I'd like to see it in informational settings that are not going to be open to the comments. And it's going to be more of an opt-in. Yes, I like this information. I would like to see more, whether it's following on Instagram or if you're opting in by providing an email address. Again, I don't understand enough about Facebook other than I know to stay off it.
Yes, especially town pages. You have anything else?
I agree with Adam. I think if you're trying to reach a larger audience, I think that the idea of putting it on Facebook, because it is, as you said, very informational, it's not really controversial, in my opinion. I know that everything could be controversial on Facebook, but if you want it to be, but this to me is, like, as you said, all positive. It's about the school, it's about the students. I don't really know where this would lead to backlash and controversy. I mean, that's me. It just doesn't seem like something that would create negativity. You're updating the town on what the students are doing, what their accomplishments are, what's coming up in terms of, the musicals. I don't know why anybody would sit there and start, bantering. I know it's possible, but it just seems highly unlikely to me. But it's a chance you take, I guess. But you would reach the residents, because most people are on social media. So.
Do you guys have anything you'd like to share about Facebook? Other than
Do you know what Facebook
they're
is?
not even
People-
on it.
Facebook's for generation.
I know.
I did like the idea that you brought up of kind of having like a sneak peek of it, and then having the QR code if people want to find out more. Then you could also have an option of where they could kind of sign up for a monthly newsletter kind of, so how parents of the school so I like that idea. I don't know anything about Facebook. I don't even touch that app. Instagram is usually what I look at.
Yeah, I think a lot of our generation focuses on Instagram, a lot of our high school things especially.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reposted things through students even to beyond just the schools or each individual class, but I think Facebook is more discussional rather than informational, and whether or not it's a controversial topic, it is something that will be discussed in a place where false information could be spread. So if the goal is to get it out to everyone, then something like Instagram or a QR code again is giving people a place to find the information and access it and just view it and have it rather than discuss it.
Thank you.
So well said, Grace.
So that was, very well said, both of you. And, I think there's, going back to the first earlier part of the discussion of has this committee exhausted what they can do? I don't. As I'm sitting here, I've come up with a full page of notes of other ways to, and strategies. I think the coffee with the superintendent, it was something we tried. It didn't work great. We're not going to keep going with it. Continuing to come up with ways and seeing if it's going to work. I think that's really important. I think, another thing is, we could have other, all the schools post it and the Berlin board account not posting anything. But just to go back a little bit, when all this came out, our former assistant superintendent really wanted us to have this as well, Facebook as well as Twitter, because their former district had a Facebook for the Board of Ed. And when I went back and, when I looked at it, and I've still followed it apparently, they would only post their minutes. That was it. They would only post their board minutes. And doing our study, we were the only other board that I had found at that time, probably 6, 7, 8 years ago, I'm not sure, 7 years ago, that had a Facebook. It's not a common practice for boards to have it because districts usually have like a district PR person managing the Berlin Public Schools. We don't have that, but all our own schools have it. So, you know, I think it's definitely something where that, you know, the members of the board need to think what should be posted, where should it exist, and then this needs to be on the agenda next meeting after everyone's really had some time to think about it, and we can make a vote. So, does anyone else have any final thoughts? I appreciate everyone's input, but I think, you know, now that we've had this discussion, we all need to come to the table and continue it. Do you think that makes sense? Yeah? Okay. Do you have any thoughts?
I think I've already spoken at the meeting in here about my thoughts as far as the mission has always been to get back to what a citizen was and getting the message out to the greater community. And that's our obstacle every meeting. So I think the QR code and the front page of Citizen was a great alternative if we can do that. And then think of a way of how to access not just the parents, but the greater community emails where we can send this out and we can just hit delete if they don't want to read it. Or if they want to read it, they read it. If they want more information, they click on the links. It's 3 times a year. It's not obtrusive. It's just a simple statement about the school district in the community, whether you have children or not. I think that would be a great place to get it. You know, we could start off by getting the Citizen, but I think the long-term goal should be to get their emails where you're not spending the money in the Citizen 3 times a year. But that's just my thought.
Any concluding thoughts? So this will be on our agenda next meeting. Thank you everyone for contributing to that. So our next agenda item is we're going to discuss negotiations with the Berlin Education Association, the teachers, and we are going into executive session.
Ashley and Denise.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session for purposes of discussion regarding negotiations with the Berlin Education Association. Invite in Ashley Dorsey, Denise Parsons, and Brian Benigni.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
So motion by Adam, second by Jen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so we are gonna go into executive session. It's 7 o'clock now, but,
You want to stay here and have some step out?
yeah, it will be easier to stay.